Okay, so I took a vote in the chat if you didn't see it. I'm going to be making a ornament with a finial, and the vote was what wood to use for the finial. And by one vote, ebony won. Cedar came in second, and maple was way back there with one vote. So and I'm going to put these glasses over here in case I need them. So I'm going to do the opposite tonight. For this one, I need to do the finial first. Just the way this one works. I'm going to pop my drill chuck out of my lathe before my elbow hits the end of a brad point bit. That does not feel good. So I got an ebony piece right here. So I'm just going to look to see how straight the grain is. I'm going to switch cameras. There we go. And let's see. That's really close up. So I'm just seeing how straight it is and checking the grain there and seeing how straight that is. This one has got a slight bend on it, so I would want to take this to my sander and kind of flatten out. So I think this one's the winner tonight. Try to make them as square as I can. Makes it easier when you're rough turning them down. So I'm just going to slide this almost all the way to the base of my chuck in the jaws here. It's like that. And then I'm just going to check to see how true it's running just by looking at the flat here on the horizon, seeing if it's the same and it's not facing up this or going down that way. And it looks pretty good. All right. I'm not quite sure where the ebony came from. A friend of mine in Utah sent me this. A whole shipping box full of them, actually. It was very nice of her. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just rough this down, and I'll describe what kind of designs and shape I'm going to be doing as I go along. Generally what it's going to be is going to be a slight, sort of like an onion shape almost, and it's going to have a point, small bead at the bottom, and it's just going to taper up, and then I'm going to put a larger bead here, and it's just going to flare out this way. And this is going to be on the bottom. This is the bottom finial for the ornament. And the reason why I'm doing it first is because of the type of ornament I'm making. Where's the blank here? That's not it. Is that it? Did I take the rubber bands off? Yeah. So this is the blank I'll be using. That's pretty close. Big leaf maple burl. And the reason why I need to know the sizes, the different sizes, because of the shape I'm making this. It's going to have like the top is going to have a rounded, almost like a bead, and then it's going to come in, it's just going to kind of have a nice little cove here. Then I'm going to create two little cuts in it and use a wire burner on it and create a cove in there and use my elf tool to create a small design in there, a little texturing. So we'll get to that, Scott, after the... Yeah.
Scott, you're really zoomed in. We couldn't really see what you were doing.
All we could see was your glove.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get to that in a little bit. I just want to get turning. I was just describing what the shape of the ornament globe is going to be. But we can do that later. So I got a little piece of white cardboard on here just so you guys can see the ebony a little bit better. So I'm just going to turn this way up. I don't use my tailstock when I'm doing finials. I find when I use the tailstock, I end up breaking more that way than I do without it. So tailstock stays away unless it's a really long finial. Then I'll use one. But it's almost an inch in the chuck. The whole piece was 6 inches long by 1 by 1. So there's about 5 inches of extension here. And these jaws hold it really well. I need to drop my tool rest just a little bit. It's a little high for this tool. Here we go. So when I do the cuts, you don't want to come in on the end here Because what you're going to do is you're going to just grab that edge there, and this thing's just going to fly right out of the chuck. It can actually break the wood or come out of the jaws, and that's not a pleasant outcome for anybody. So I always start the cuts on the inside and work my way towards the end. And I'm just going to start creating the taper that I'm going to be working on. Then I'll switch over to a spindle gouge to finish it up. So now I'm just going to cut back some of those corners there. I'm going to spin it around. Come in here and do some killing cuts just to smooth some things over. I'll probably just get this all the way around right now, just in case my hand touches it. Just some slight peeling cuts. Just using the end of the tool right here, the side there. And I'm just going to see where I'm at as far as squareness goes. See if I got it round enough. Okay, it's square right here, but that's all going to go away, so I'm not too worried about that. So every time I make that taper, I move a little bit further back and work my way towards the end there. And I want to keep as much mass as I can in this area here. The more mass you got back here, the less vibration you're going to have when you're making those little details on the end. So I'm thinking for the end of this one, instead of a point, I'm just going to create what's called an acorn bottom. So I'm just going to stop right there with the roughing gouge for now. I'm going to grab me my spindle gouge. This is I believe it's a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. Let's see. Yes. This is a 1/2 inch spindle gouge, and I'm going to turn off my lathe because I really need to readjust my tool rests. And I don't want to accidentally run into anything at that speed. So I'm just going to kind of round over this area right here. And what I do is I start with the bevel just touching the wood. Then I'll bring the back of the handle up. In fact, let me switch cameras. I bet you I got a better view of, not that one, not that, yeah, let me zoom out on this one a little bit here. There we go.
There you go.
Now you'll be able to see how I'm moving the handle up and down and things like that. I can zoom out a little bit more. There we go. So I'm just starting to cut like this. And I raise the back of the handle up and just do a turn while pushing in. Swing the handle away from you. Create that little acorn start of the shape there. Then we're just going to kind of remove a bit of this wood. We don't want a huge acorn on the end. So we need to remove a bit of this wood. So I got my tool at the flute at about 45 degrees, and I'm just doing a few push cuts just to remove some of this wood. Ebony can be a little tricky, and that's what you just heard there. Sometimes the ebony will want to make your tool jump a little bit. So what we want to do is we're going to just kind of, just a slight curve into here, and we're going to create what looks like a little mount that the acorn is sticking out of. I'm just going to come in here and just barely touch this. There we go. And then we can just do a little bit of a pill cut. All right, so let me grab some sandpaper. With this, you have to sand as you go. Because once you get it really thin here, you don't want to come back in here at the end and try to sand it, because you might snap the finial in half, which is never good. Plus, the sandpaper really helps shape sometimes helps give the final shape to the finial parts. I'm not too worried about having to slow the lathe down at this point because the wood is so thin, it still sands pretty well. All right, so now I'm going to turn it down because most acorns have a little bit of a texture to it. So I'm going to grab me a small texturing tool here. It's called a knurling tool, really. Metal workers use it a lot. I'm just going to bring it in here and just kind of roll it around. It's going to start spinning here. Just be careful while you swing it around this way. The texture might not show up quite well on the camera, we'll see. And come back the other way. Try to get towards the end there. It's not going to spin as fast right here. But it's getting a little bit, so let me stop and see how ugly that came out. You can't really barely see it, so we're just going to leave it the way it is. All right, so now I want to do this. I'm just going to start taking this down and creating a long, nice taper along here. I'm going to raise my tool rest back up, adjust the angle again. See if this is sitting on center there. We're good. Turn it back up. So I'm at like 2200 RPMs. So I'm just going to come back this way and I'm just going to start taking this wood down. See, that's what ebony does. If you give it too much force, you're going to get little chunks coming out of it, which happened just there, but you can see right there. But I'm not worried about that because that's going to go away anyway. I just need to lighten my cut a little bit, not push so hard. Now we're going to come back this direction. Hopefully, the grain is nice enough where this part's not going to snap off right here. All right. Now we need to start peeling this away. The tool's at about 45 degrees, the flute is. And we want to just meet up with this nice gentle curve right in here. And we're going to come back and just kind of touch that up. And now we just want to take a bunch of this wood down. We don't need it. Only reason why you want to start with 1 inch, because when you get towards the end right here, you need that width of the blank to cover the opening in the bauble, or the globe as I like to call them, that will be making out of the burl. I'm going to lighten the cut here. That's getting pretty thin there. So I'm just going to stop my lathe and just have a feel. Okay, so there's just a little bit of not a bump, but a little bit of a dip right here. So I just need to probably come in with the sandpaper. Will probably clean that up. So I'm just going to do that. Turn down the lathe for this sanding part. This is 180 grit sandpaper, by the way, if you wanted to know. And it's still pretty strong because we got all this mass right here holding everything together. So I'm going to do something right here just to set that little acorn off. I'm going to bring in a very small detail gouge. And I need to raise the tool rest a little bit for this, because it is such a small tool. So I just want to put a detail right about here. So I'm just going to get the tool rest a little bit closer. We don't want all that overhang. And that's a little too close because we got that really long bevel. You don't want the bevel riding on the bar of your tool rest. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to get the bevel rubbing, and I'm going to raise the back of the handle till the cut starts. And I'm just going to do a twist just like that. I'm just going to come in and just kind of clean this area up just gently. It's pretty easy with this tool. And I just want to round it over a little bit. It's getting hard to see. It's always good to have something contrasting back behind you, especially ebony, because if you have a black tool rest and banjo like I do, it just blends in. You can't really see anything. All right, so that looks pretty nice. You see there's still a little bit of a bump right there. So I'm just going to come back in with my spindle gouge and clean that up. Just a slight cut. Oh, forgot I lifted the tool rest down a little bit there, up to that other tool. So right in here, there's still a little too high. All right. I'm just going to gently do this right through here. And grab that sandpaper and go over it real quick. That looks better. I'll stop the lathe and just feel the length there just to see if it's feeling nice. So I'm going to come back here. I'm really going to extend this taper right through here. I'm just leaving that mask there just for extra support. I'm just going to take quite a bit of the wood away here. Okay, now I need to lighten up my cut. Take a bit of this wood down. I'm going to grab that small roughing gouge and do some more peeling cuts there just to make quick work of this. Leave some wood behind just so we can create that ball in a moment. I'm just taking even more wood away. I like to make my finials nice and delicate. Right. So. Now, I don't want any straight parts on this taper at all. It's got to be one continuous curve. I'm just going to gently join those together right here and not go uphill, because then they'll be fighting the end grain of the blank. That can cause you some problems if you do that. All right, so I still need to work on that taper a little bit better. Yeah, that's looking a bit better. I just got to keep going until we reach that thinnest part here. Kind of join everything together. All right, so now we're just going to sand this real quick. Okay, still got a bit of a bump right there that I can see. I just want to clean that up. It's funny, you could look at that and maybe miss those bumps, but once the ornaments together and you put it all together, they actually become quite noticeable, even if it's just a small little bump. I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure while I'm sanding. You don't want to flex the wood at all. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I just want to take some of this wood down even more this way, towards the headstock. So let me come back here, just get that part thinner here. Now we're getting down to where I like it. All right, so we can put the little ball right here. I'm just gonna go a little bit thinner. All right. Just gonna kind of smooth this out to make the cutting a little smoother when I do this. So it's good just to sand that off. That way you're not fighting against any leftover tool marks. And we're gonna stop the weight and just have a look. Now this wood will turn really dark when I apply a finish. So that's looking pretty good. So I want to start right about here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very small skew chisel. Create a decoration, and then we'll work on the bead, and then another decoration on the other side. And I'm going to grab the two tools. I'll show you what I'm going to use. All right, so this is that very small spindle gouge. It's a 1/4 inch. And a very small skew chisel that I swiped out of my pin turning kit. So comes in handy for a piece like this. So I'm just going to do a couple of V cuts and get black all over my hands. I need to readjust my tool rest before I do that. And I need to really bring the tool rest up. This is such a small tool. Both of them are. Pretty good. So I can bring it in just a little bit closer. Give it a spin, just make sure nothing's going to hit. We're just going to do a couple of V cuts right here and create a decoration. So. Go as thin as you dare. And then another V cut on this side. Gotta be able just to grab that wood with the point there. And we just want a nice sharp detail here, so you gotta be really careful. I'm gonna stop the lathe. I'm just gonna make sure I didn't get any tear out in this part. Nope, you're good. So next thing we want to do is create another one on this side, and then the ball is going to go right in the center there. Probably right about here. So I eyeball a lot of this stuff. So gonna stop there, and then we're gonna come over this way, create the same kind of design. We just need to make this a bit sharper right in here, this design. And we're just going to stop and have a look, see how thick it is. All right, we got a good matching set there. So now I got to grab that little detail gouge, and we're going to just create a nice little bead there. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to create a straight chamfer from the center. Adjust the tool rest down. I want to create a chamfer first, and then we'll put the curve into the bead. Two though now. I'm always picky about my height and my tool rest. That is what in the world. Let's see if that's good. If it's on center. Nope. I like to have my points on center when you're making finials like this. It really helps. And the handle is parallel to the floor. Okay, we're good. So we're just going to create a chamfer here. It's going to go kind of start here and work your way back towards the center. Yeah, I'm still too high. Feel like I'm fighting downhill. If it feels like you're doing that, then you need to lower your tool rest a bit. So I'm just going to pick that up, come back, and do the same thing on this side. Being careful not to damage that little detail you created a minute ago. And one more. All right, so I'm just going to do one more this way, and then we'll start rounding it over. All right, so now we can just we start with the flute up, get that cut going, and then we're just going to kind of push and turn until the flute is almost straight up and down. And we're going to do it this way too. And then we'll come back and just kind of clean this all up. Create a nice little curve here. This is an elongated type of bead, as you can tell. It's not perfectly round. You're more than welcome to make it round. But I like creating almost like an oval type shape here. So it's got a high spot right there that we need to take down to match everything. Need to kind of get rid of some of that leftover wood in there. Same on this side. So I'm turning it all the way over and running the bevel down that little detail and just kind of tucking it in. And I'm going to stand back and have a look. Okay, so we're still a little high right here. So I just need to kind of touch it up. You know, the rest of this, the sanding will take care of. But you don't want to sand these two little points, or those two little details. You just want to sand that center part. Otherwise, you'll lose that nice, crisp detail. So I'm just going to tear this piece of sandpaper I was using earlier, make it into a really small piece. So I can tuck it in there. I might grab a strip instead. We'll see. That might work better for this. Wow. Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to use a strip here. This is 220. You can just come in here and it'll fit right in between here. This will put the final shape into this bead. And there's a little high spot right there. And we just stand back and have a look. I'll move this back over so you guys can see it a little bit better there. See that curve taking place. There's still a little bit of a flat area here. We want to make this all the way around, so I'm just going to kind of slide the sandpaper around a little bit, bring that card up and have a look. Oh, that's much better. All right. Now we can come in with the same paper, and we can just touch the inside of these here without touching the point. We can then turn the paper over, the same thing. There we go. Now we're just going to have a look. All right, it looks pretty good. Now we just want to finish this off. I'm going to create a cove that leads right up into here, and then that will be where the bottom is. So first thing I need to do is grab my veneer calipers here, because I need to make this a 5/8. I'm going to grab the drill bit I'll be using to make that hole, because we need to create a tenon on the end of this to fit in that hole. And the tenon is going to be way back up in here.
Can you zoom that camera, the overhead camera out, or move it to the left a little bit, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, let me do this. This is easier. How's that?
Super.
All right. Glad to hear it. All right, so now I got to go back to my larger spindle gouge here. Deciding which one I want to use. I want to use one with a little bit of a more pointy end. So we're going to turn this up. We're going to peel some of this back just to clean it up. Then we're just going to stop right about there. Yeah, this tool seems a little big, so I'm going to grab my other smaller spindle gouge. Yeah, this will work much better. So what I want to do is just work my way down and here start creating a cove. And come on this end. Work your way down to where the bottom will be. In fact, I can go a bit thinner. And just meet right there in the bottom. You don't want to go uphill. It's going to fight you and probably break the wood in half. Kind of clean those tool marks up here. Just follow through, get rid of that little white line that was right there in the middle. That is a tool mark. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to fill it with my fingers. Looks like I need to take this down a little bit more of a curve right through here that leads into that. It's a little too straight. So I got the flutes at about 45 degrees. That's better. That's a better look. If I need to, I can slide this out a little ways to finish it off. If I need to do that for the tenon that goes inside the ornament ball. So kind of clean this up a little bit. I don't think we're going to need to do that because we got plenty of wood right there. So that's the first thing I want to start doing now is measure, get the parting tool, and start creating that tenon. And I always start as close as I can to the chuck. In case I go too small, I've got a little extra room to adjust the size of it, so. Open that up a little bit. And stop the lathe, and we're just going to see how far we have to go. Okay, not much, pretty close. If it's a little small, it's going to be all right. Because this is just kind of a centering thing. And if it's a little smaller, that's okay, because the glue is going to make the wood expand. And if you make it a little smaller and the wood does expand, the finial wood expands, then it's not going to crack the bobble. So if you got it too tight, that sometimes happens. For all the few thousand or so ornaments I've made, that's a good thing. So yeah, we got a little bit of play. That's about right. Now I'm just going to work my way up. Need to move my manure calipers out of the way. I'm just going to slowly work my way up. And one more little cut. I'm going to come in with my baby parting tool. First, I just want to create a chamfer right here. It's like it goes inward. I'm just going to want to sand everything. God, I didn't sand that yet. So I just curl up the sandpaper here and just sand that cove up. I'm not going to do a whole lot of sanding. I just want to clean enough to clean it up tonight. Touch that. Oh, it feels like I got a little bit of a tear out in it. Where is it? Right there. So I'm just going to use my spindle gouge to clean that up. Sometimes the parting tool will chip out this ebony. And I've got extra wood there to do that with, so I'm not too concerned about taking a little bit of it down. Feels good. Back to sanding this part. Yeah, I felt that when I was sanding, I felt that little bit of a tear out there. A little chunk of wood came out. All right. Now the next thing is we need to undercut what I call the flange. We need to undercut this so just the outer edge is going to rest on the ornament. If it's completely flat and you put it against the ornament that's got a slight round to it, it's going to leave a gap in between the finial and that ornament. So what I've done here, you guys can see that, I've ground this at a skew angle. Like that. So when I come in on an angle to do that undercut, when it finishes off and it reaches that bottom right there, that little tenon, the tool's going to be flat against that tenon. It's not going to dig into the wood. So it doesn't take much. You just get it on the right angle there. Just take a small bite. And when you see it hit that bottom, that's where you want to stop. I'm just going to touch that with that sandpaper I just had in my hand. Darn it. Guess it's not in my hand anymore, so I'm going to grab a different one here. Let's clean up that edge where that parting tool went in. Just have a look at it. You can see the end starting to wobble a little bit, as you can see in the... Oh, you guys can't see that now, but trust me, the end is wobbling. You might be able to... Yeah. See if I can get it to come up. Oh, well, wrong way. Yeah, you can see it wobbling now. See, that's why you got to keep all that mass in here. You don't want to come back in here and do a bunch of work because you'll never get it done. All right, so now we just need to part it off. Just grab my thin parting tool here. I need the lower tool rest a little bit for this tool. This is one of those thin parting tools that has a flute on the top. It's right here. So when you sharpen it, it creates two little points right there on the ends, and it helps keep the tear out down a little bit. I'm going to measure that tenon one more time that's up against the flange, just to make sure it's not too big. Yeah, it's good fit. So we're good to go. So you don't need a really long flange or tenon for this, because it's just going to slide up into a hollow bobble anyway. So we can just cut it right about here. And open that kerf up a little bit. And I'm just going to cut it down just thin enough where I can just twist it off. Just like this, because where you twist it off is all going to be hidden inside the ornament. So there we go. We've got our nice little finial, little acorn on the bottom, little doodad there, a little bead. So I'm going to set this aside, and we need to make the top finial really, really quick. I really do my best to, where did I put my key? Oh, that's funny. I just had it. Should have been up here. There it is. So I make really simple finials for the top of my ornaments usually. And this is a little too short, so I'm going to grab me a short piece of ebony here that I've cut up just for this purpose. And I'm just going to put it in part way. About there. Just tighten it down. So the bottom hole of the ornament is going to be, it's going to have a 3/8 inch hole. So we need to make the tenon that size on here. So let's put these two tools away. Grab my roughing gouge. I'm going to rough this down real quick. Probably zoom in on that a little bit more here now. There we go. And just some peeling cuts. Tool rest is too low. We are on center there. Sounds like it's already round, which is good. Yep. So I'm gonna peel this down quite a bit. We don't need all this wood. And then we're gonna come in with my other spindle gouge, the small one. We're just gonna fix this all up. I'm just gonna create a long taper. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I need to put a little divot in there and drill a little hole for an eye hook. Best to do this now instead of when the piece is really small. There we go. Then I just use one of those little pin vise drillers here. It's one of these guys. And you gotta be careful, you go straight in and straight out. I find that the faster the lathe is going when you do this, the better off you are actually, as long as you're careful. Because if you're not, if you actually bend it one way or the other and you snap this drill bit off, there's no way of getting it out of there unless you cut it out. Use it as a gouge and you're gonna lose all that wood. There we go. Went in and out, no problems. All right. Now we're just going to start peeling this down. Just a long taper type of finial on the top. go. It's pretty good. This is kind of quick work doing this, so I'm just going to feel for any bumps. There's a slight bump right here, so I want to get rid of that. Now that I felt it, I can see it. So I always start behind the bump and come out on the other side. You don't want to start cutting right on the bump because you're not going to get anywhere with that except taking more and more and more wood down. So I need to smooth that out a little bit before I sand it. It's a little too deep. So I'm going to lighten up that cut a little bit. There's a little bit too deep of tool marks right there. There we go. That's much better. Come on. Yes. Come on. There we are. So we'll clean the ass up, clean the end up. Now to finish the finials, I usually just use that walnut oil finish, like what is it called? Doctor's Wood Shop or Mike Mahoney's. Mike Mahoney's is great on these things. It has a really nice luster on the ebony. Okay, so now we just need to start taking a little bit more of this down. I'm still a little low for that. See, there we go. I'm just going to peel this towards the chuck. Be careful not to hit the jaws. We're going to be heading right to the grinder. So I think I'm going to have to pull the wood out just a little bit out of the jaws there. Just give me a little more working room. I'm just going to carefully slide it out. Making sure it stays in those same grooves I tightened down earlier. Turn it on, make sure it's not wobbling. It's wobbling, that figures. Alright, so I got to figure out which side is up. I just need to loosen it up a little bit. Just gonna nudge that down. There we go. That's not too much. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, that's good enough. Take some more of this down. It's gonna give me more room to create that tenon. So I need to grab my veneer calipers again and measure a 3/8 drill bit. It's already in my drill chuck here. We'll be using in short order. Make sure I'm not hitting any of the flutes. There we go. All right. So same thing, I'm going to grab my parting tool and work my way toward, start in the back. So this is a much smaller hole. We can go a little bit deeper there before we check it. I know I'm still got a little ways to go. Better to sneak up on it than go way too small, and then you'll have trouble centering this on the top of your ornament if you go too small. Oh, I hear somebody. Somebody have a question, or is that just somebody's mic open?
That was just me.
There we go. Let's get this done. The bauble doesn't take as long as the finial does. So we're going to do the same thing. We need to undercut this. before I do that, I'm going to remember to. Oh, I had that. So there it is. I'm going to put my eye hook in the top of it first. Since I'm just going to oil it, having the eye hook in the top isn't going to really hurt anything. So I'm going to go with the gold this time. Got my little eye hook holder here. Turn my lathe way down. You just kind of drill itself in there. There we go. We can finish twisting it in once it's off the
I
lathe.
know that pose. Nice try, Hemlock.
So now we want to undercut that again with that small parting tool. It's for the same purpose. And then I'm just going to come in with the little gouge here and create another matching chamfer like on the bottom, where it goes inward. Touch it with the sandpaper, clean that up a little bit. I'm just going to stop and make sure there isn't any tear out. Looks really clean, so now we can just part this off real quick. So it's just thin enough where we could just twist it off. You can see there's not much holding that on. Really thin, huh? I'm always lucky that way most of the time. So we've got our finial. I set it down and then I didn't set it down. All right, I'll find it in a minute. Let's get on with the other part, the main part. So I'm just going to pull this chuck off. So my chuck, or my lathe, has turned a proud 20 years old this month. Well, it's 20 years since I bought it. Not sure how long ago they manufactured it. So, kind of a celebration doing this. So, all right, let's look at this for a moment. This is a piece of maple burl out of Oregon. This is a piece of 2-inch dowel that I get at Lowe's because it's cheaper than buying it at Home Depot. They make really great glue blocks. These are like offcuts that I've sliced off ends of the dowels and stuff because I use these a lot to make like birdhouses and things like that. And these are just the leftover ends that just didn't match up with the measurements. So we should be done by 6:30. So we're on track for an hour and a half demo. So I just kind of snugged it up there, and then I'm more looking at the dowel to see if it's running true than. All right, so it's up a little bit right there, so I just need to, a little too tight. Need to loosen that up a little bit. Just need to tap it out. I'm not too worried about this being true. I want that dowel to be true because once we turn all this down, round, everything should be running true together as close as we can. All right, keep going the opposite way. I'm just looking at the horizon of the inside of the glue block there. There we go. And you want it extended out a little bit because we need a little bit of working room between the block and the jaws. We want to have a little bit of an extension there. So I'm going to take this little piece of cardboard off my banjo because we really don't need it right now. It kind of gets in the way of everything. So I need my larger roughing gouge here. Where are you? Oh, there you are. You're somewhere. So I'm just going to see if I'm on center. I'm a little too high. Put some of these tools, other tools away, so I'm not stomping all over them, but they fall off the lathe. It's going to be pretty close. Well, go down just a little bit more. So I'm just using a larger 1 1/4 inch roughing gouge just to get this turned round, and then we'll start shaping it. So like before, I'm going to start on the inside and work my way out. In fact, this piece is kind of larger than my normal ornaments, but I like this design. I've been doing them for a couple years. I'm going to grab my tail center and bring that up. So I don't want to accidentally pull that out of the chuck. Take the little sharp point out that I had in it. So I don't need this little point. I just need the round end there, just to add support there. And if things go wrong, I have an extra block all ready to go. There we go. All right, make sure this is good and tight. There we go. Just added support. You don't have to put a lot of strength on it. It's just a precaution more than anything else. Kind of traps the whole thing in between centers and the jaws. And we're going to come back the other way. Let me stop and see. Okay, still got flat spots. Going this way. Even all that out. I'm going to give it a little bit of a pilling cut at the end there. Oh, that's going to be a pretty piece of wood. You can see all that really pretty grain there. Oh, chatoyancy in there. We got a little bit of a knot there. It might fall out, but that's all right. If it opens up a void in the ornament, I'm not too concerned about that. Actually kind of adds character. So, all right, so I'm going to grab my parting tool. Where did I put my parting tool? Oh, it's not in the rack. It's on this shelf. I just want to true up the end here. Because when I start making this area a little round, having a trued up area is going to make the cutting a lot easier and faster. I'm just going to take it down to where it's just going to barely touch the life center there. And we can clean that up by pulling the tailstock out after we do some shaping on here. All right, so where's that one? All right. Back to this gouge here. So I'm going to mark a pencil with a pencil. Where I want that one detail I was talking about earlier, where I'm going to just kind of slightly round this. And it's going to be pretty much this thickness. It might go down a little bit. About right there. I'm going to put like a cove right there. And then a couple of small grooves there that I'm going to open up and burn with a burn wire. But this is just going to be like a cove that goes right down in there. So I just want to start back here, just work my way up. It's all right if you take some of that glue block away because I got glue all the way through it. This is just the start. I'm going to leave a lot of mass because we still need to hollow it out. This is just the beginning here. I'm going to remark that. I kind of erase that mark. It is about right there. This is just to give me an idea of where I'm working and where I need to go. So this area here is going to get a lot thinner as we go. So now I just want to do a kind of a turn into the top here. So I got the bevel rubbing. I'm going to raise the handle till I get a bit of a cut going. I'm just going to twist the handle and push forward at the same time and swing the whole tool handle away from me. In fact, let me do something here so you guys can see it a little bit better what I'm doing as far as distance goes. Here we go. Do that again. Grab that and start doing a twist and swing that handle just to get that shape started. I'm going to come back and do a pull cut. I'm going to use that wing of the tool here, and the flute's almost closed. I'm just going to gently kind of adjust that curve doing this. In fact, I might have to take this down quite a bit more because it is a little thick for that finial. Where did I put that finial I made? Oh, no, I put it on the table. Oh, jeez. That figures. I always lose something, don't I? It was right there. I should have put it in my pocket. Where did I put it? I always have like a little cup to put them in, and I didn't do that this time, unfortunately. That's not it. That's a different finial. I've got another finial already made if I need to use it. I'd rather use the one we use. Oh, there you are, you little booger. So we just kind of add that up. Yeah, this part's gonna have to come down quite a bit. Plus, we got that big void right there. So I'm just gonna peel this down and then remark it. Just make it a bit smaller in diameter. So I like to start with a bigger piece because then I can adjust size as I go. If you try to start with a blank that's pretty right at the diameter that you want, then you have no adjustment. You don't have any design, what I like to call design opportunities. So, okay, that's better. And I'm just looking at the flange there compared to this. So it's like almost half and half. So that's what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to put this finial in a cup now so I don't lose it. There we go. Now I know exactly where it is. Maybe. So I'm just going to start doing that rounding over again. Just doing some pull cuts. Oh, need to come around this way. And we can take some of this down again. So I'm just doing it by eye now, because I got a pretty good idea of where I want that design to go. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there because I need all this mass for the hollowing. Kind of round this part over a little bit though. And this is where the cove and everything will go. Well, we'll clean this up a little bit better once we get this hollowed out. So I'm going to pull this all back, stop the lathe. Then we're going to clean that part off, and then we'll drill a hole. So this is pretty easy, just doing some push cuts right into the blank here. Just kind of peel it away. You guys got a good, you guys don't have a great angle on that, so I'm going to adjust my tool rest or headstock back just a little bit so you guys can see what's going on up here a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. And let's see, let's switch cameras here. That way you guys can see what I'm doing here. Let's kind of round this over a little bit better. Don't worry about the vibration. That's just the overhang. I got it overhanging a little bit too much. I want to get this part of the shape close to what I want because I use it to follow the hollowing on the inside. Okay. Grab my parting tool and put a little divot in the center for the drill bit to find. First going to use the 3/8, and I'm going to drill all the way through it, or the 5/8 first, drill part way through, and then I'm going to drill all the way through with a 3/8. Let me get this out. Grab my drill chuck. I need to change drills bits out of this. Give me 1 second here. There we go. We're just going to go part way in with the 5/8. I just judge it by eye. If you're not good at that or anything, I would just put a small mark with a Sharpie or something on your drill bit. Give you an idea how deep you've gone. All right. Tighten down, turn down the lathe for sure. I'm going to find that point. Turn it down a little bit more. All right, here we go. So this is going to be the top hole for the ornament. The bottom's here. That's loud. Woo! That's deafening in my shop. Come on out of there now. Stop squealing at me. I know you don't like being drilled. Sounds like a poor animal being subjected to torture or something. I'm just going to see how deep I went. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I just want to finish that drilling off with the smaller drill bit. No, wrong one. Let's grab the wrong key. We're done with the 5/8. Now we're going to switch over to a 3/8. And the reason for that is if I need to, I've made a little like jam jig that goes in my jaws there in case I need to turn it around and do any work on the bottom. I can reverse this. Just back that off just a little bit because it's all the way against the wood. You don't want to start your hole with the drill bit hitting the wood because the point can wander in the grain. You'll end up with a oval-shaped hole. So you want to just back it off to where it's not touching the wood. And we'll just go start drilling all the way through. And you can tell when you're all the way through because the sound of the drilling changes. Plus the colors of the shavings coming out will turn white like the color of the dowel. It should be there. Okay, so most definitely there now. Back that off. And we've got some of that dowel dust right there. So yes, we went all the way through. All right, so that's all the drilling we need to do. Now I'm going to grab a hollowing tool and hollow it out. Real basic hollowing. You don't need to measure how thin it is or anything. The reason for this hollowing is just to lighten the ornament so it's not hanging so heavy on the tree. That's the main reason for the hollowing on this. Well, it is the reason why. I need to back that off just a little bit. I'm going to blow that out, get some of those crumbs out of there. That way I'm not fighting them with later on with the hollowing tools. Let me grab the first one I'm going to use. I'll show this on camera. So this is called there's many names. There's several tools just like these out there. But I'm trying to remember. These are called rocket tools. They were designed by Mike Tchaikovsky, a well-known hollow turner. In fact, that's pretty much all he turns almost is hollow vessels. He's started to explore the nuances of bowl turning lately and box turning, and his wife does a beautiful job of pyrography on his pieces. They're incredible. But this has a #1 Hunter carbide. It's different than an Easy Wood tool. Easy Wood tools are flat. This is cupped and it's polished, as you can see there. And when part of it gets dull, you just kind of twist it, unloosen it, twist it just like an Easy Wood tool or any other carbide. And this tip right here has lasted me at least 1,500 ornaments so far. I haven't broken it yet, which is pretty cool. For $23, that's not a bad investment on a tip. That's for sure. All right, so I'm just going to put this in a different handle. I need to back off this tool rest a little bit because it's might be getting in the way of the handle there. Okay, we're good. So I'm just measuring to see if the handle's parallel. And we are still a little high. You want the top of the tip to be on center. Be a little high, but you don't want it to be drastically high. Now these tools are famous for self-feeding. So the trick to that is you just want to turn it on a little bit off. You don't want to straight up and down because then it's going to definitely self-feed. You just want to twist it, the whole thing, just a little bit. Not quite 45, I would say between 55 and 50 degree, twist on it. And I start right here at the opening and I work my way down. I'm not going to hollow this whole thing because it's going to get quite thin through here. So I'm just going to do right there where that large drill, stop drilling, and that's going to be the only hollow part. So we're going to speed it up a bit. So I got the tool, twist the tip turned a little bit. And you can go back and forth with these tools, as long as you're careful. You get a bigger cut when you're going forward, though. Oh, see, it kind of grabs. Because I turned it straight up and down, and that's when it grabbed on me there. So I'm just going to stop, and this is, my fingers are my gauge here. Okay, I need to take a little bit more right in here, but along the wall there, in this part, we're good to go. So I just need to work a little bit more on the center here. So I'm just finding the drilled hole in there, and I'm starting to cut there. And I'm just doing a backwards cut, kind of pulling the tool back towards the tailstock when I do this. And now we'll have another fill in there. Okay, that's good. All right, so I'm just going to blow out the rest of that dust. We are where we should be. Most definitely. So I'm going to switch this out and put my other spindle gouge back in case I need it. Okay, so now we can finish the outside here. All right. So I'm just going to start tapering this down. I'm going to leave this area flat right through here. So I'm just going to mark that with a pencil so everybody can see The area I'm going to keep flat. It's going to be about right here. And then I'll come back and create that cove and those burned lines right in this area here. I just want to work on this because sometimes I get carried away and I start tapering up here too far, and then I got to readjust this area. So that's why I'm doing this part first. All right, so we're just going to grab this. Oh, some leftover wood flying around. I don't like that. So I got the tool about 50 degrees toward. This is,
Scott, can you flip the camera?
Switch
Scott, can you
camera.
flip the camera?
Yep, got it. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'm just gonna, let's see what happened to that one I had. There it
The
is.
little one in the corner was good.
You like that one? Let's see what else I've
Yeah.
got on here. There we go. How's that? That's better. That way you guys got a bigger view of that and then see what's going on over here. So I'm just going to start the cut. So this, I call this noon when the flute's straight up and down. If it's all the way towards the headstock, I call that 3 o'clock. Or tailstock's 3 o'clock, headstock is 9 o'clock. So I got the angle at about 11 o'clock to start the cut. Then I kind of turn it into the 1030, which is 45 degrees. Just do a nice sweeping cut. And remember, you got that 3/8 inch there, hole in there. So what I like to do is grab my linear calipers I had earlier. That's 3/8 inches, I believe. I'm going to double check it with the drill bit. Still measured that. Okay. Then I'm going to open them up. Probably a good, a little over half an inch, maybe 5/8, between 5/8 and 3/4. 1 inch there. Half. That's 3/4. I'm going to check with my ruler. Quite. See, you don't want to go too thin right there because you can break through that hole. Okay. Then I'm going to grab me another veneer calipers. I'll show you why I use these. All right. Got that set. Okay, so I should have done. Let's see, where's that? That bottom one. There you are. I mismeasured. Forget what I just said. So I want to measure the flange of this. And that's how thin I want this to be. I was thinking about a different ornament for some reason. Okay, so you want this to come down, so this part here will be a nice smooth transition onto the ornament without any gaps. So we got it set right on it. There we go, good. Lock down. All right, so we'll put that somewhere safe so I don't forget where it is. All right. And this is bigger than the drill bit, that flange, of course, because you can tell by looking at the tenon on the end. So I'm just going to keep that one right here. Make sure. Okay, I can go a little bit more. Take some of this away. Give me a little extra working room. And what I'm going to do, done it in the past, is I just get a parting tool and just cut a groove right there. And then when I'm doing this, it'll all match up. So I'm just going to create a groove right there, matches this. And that's how deep I want to go with that, with this part of the. So you just want to work up on it. Just a 10 more, so I'm just going to be very careful. Best to just sneak up on it, because if you try to go too far, then it's not going to match up very well. And it's very hard to get that flange turned down. You can do it, but it takes a little bit of finesse on using pin jaws. Sort of like box turning when you're trying to fit a lid. Gotta sneak up on some of these cuts. Wow, one more cut. Wow, I thought I would have had it that time. Okay, that's pretty good.
Thought you
By
would
the
have had
time
it
I sand, well, yeah, by the time I sand it, it's gonna be good. It'll slip right on there, just fine. All right, so now I can just kind of create that taper all the way down into that area. Now I know what I'm aiming for. And one more pass. Nice and slow. Make sure you got a nice even curve all the way down. Yeah, looks like we can go just a little bit more. So I'm just going to start the cut right here in the middle and pick it up. There we go. So this part's going to be, that flat area is going to be parted off. So that's where it's going to be parted off. So we're right where we need to be. I'm just going to double check that measurement. Make sure where we are. Yeah, that's good. All right. So we got this shape going. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. And then we'll create that groove. After we do a little bit of finishing, actually. Do a little sanding, a little finishing, and then we'll do those grooves, because I'm going to finish it with some wax. And if I put those burnt lines and that texturing, they're going to fill up with wax. So I'm just going to leave this area flat. And then after I do the texturing and the burning, I'll actually use some walnut oil just in that area. You really won't be able to tell the difference once it's all put together. So I want to sand that back. It's a pretty smooth cut, it feels like. So that area is supposed to be flat. I don't really see too many terrible tool marks. So I'm going to start with 220 and work my way up to 320 and stop there. And we'll use some Yorkshire grit wax on it, polish it up. Turn down the lathe. Then you want to curl this up a little bit, come in here. Kind of a low area right there, it feels like. Just sand that out. Looks pretty good. Looks really pretty. So grab a 320. Got the right bag here. Where'd my 320 bag go? Had it earlier. Oh, there it is. There's one more. I separate right now. I've been traveling, doing demos. So I got all my sandpaper, my cut sandpaper in plastic sandwich bags, Ziploc bags. Just haven't bothered to take them out yet. Just come in here and just smooth this out. I'm going to go straight to the polishing microfine because the color of the first Yorkshire grit that's got a stronger grit base in it, it's got a brown tint to it, and I find when you put that on burls, it actually darkens them up quite a bit. So I try to avoid using that if I can. And I do it pretty well just using the microfine, and it's a white wax, so it doesn't affect the color of the wood. All right, so let's wipe this off with a paper towel. Oh, that's going to be pretty. That's some really pretty wood right there. So let me grab that wax. Ooh. See, this is very white colored. Doesn't affect the color of the wood. And get some paper towel, and I'm just going to fold this up nice and neat. Got dust off my fingers. Ooh, what was that? I heard something. That was weird. We'll just put kind of a little small blob on here, and we're just going to wipe it around first. Spread out, and then we'll turn the lathe on slow first. Get the grit going, and then we'll speed it up to get a nice shine out of it. We'll do a couple coats of this real quick. All right, so let's turn on the lathe. There we go. Just like that. Still got wax on the paper towel. And this is just getting some of that grit worked into the woods. Get it to polish up. I'm going to clean off this old wax, and the second coat is when we'll buff it. So we just want to make sure we get all the dust from the previous waxing off. So we're going to do the same thing, just find a clean spot on the same paper towel. You can see already the difference in the wood. You can really see it right there. Really pretty. Now for the dark Yorkshire grit, the first grit, I like to use that on walnut and things like that because it doesn't really affect the color. When you got a lighter color burl like this, it can affect it. Just gonna speed it up a little bit. I'm gonna grab me a fresh paper towel in a moment. Get that going, polishing up. I'm going to grab this paper towel here and just do a quick buff. Get this out of the way so I don't get any more dust in there. Uh-oh, what's that noise? All right, so let's turn it up, buff this up. Looks nice. Got some nice shine to it. It's not sticky at all. Ooh, that really shows up nice there. A lot of sertoyency there. All right, so let's do that groove real quick. And the texturing and some oiling, and it'd be ready to wax or to glue together. We'll get some of this wax out of the hole there because that might affect the gluing. Make sure you clean that out. All right, so I'm going to grab me a point tool. This is a long point tool, as you can see there. It's great for just doing what I'm going to do, just create 2 little grooves on each side that I can burn with a burn wire. So I'm going to do this first. I'm going to make the cove first, because sometimes I messed up the grooves once I do that. So, all right. So I'm going to grab me a larger spindle gouge. It's got kind of a sharp point on it. Allows me to get down in these little areas here, create a nice shape. So you want to start on the outside there and work your way down towards the middle. And then you want to come on and do it on the other side, work your way down to the middle. You don't want to work your way up. This is just a starting one, and then I'm going to grab me my other spindle gouge that has a more rounded point. And this will take on that the shape of that, the point on the end of my other gouge. There we go. That's kind of roughing it in. Where did I put that other gouge? There we are. My silver one. There you are. Okay. So this has a nice rounded end on it. So you turn it 45 degrees. You just kind of ease it in. Come back this side. Just like that. This side needs a little bit more, it looks like. That's about as deep as I want to go. Just going to touch that with a piece of sandpaper, 320. I don't know where I put my other piece, so I got to grab another piece out of the baggie. So I put the other one somewhere. I don't know where. And I'm just going to curl this up into like a little cylinder here. Turn down the lathe and just come in here and just kind of touch sand that. Doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to texture. We're going to texture it. So, seeing how smooth it is. Feels good. Now I'm going to grab that elf tool. And I need to find the one with the round bit. So give me 1 second here. I'll find the round bit here. If I don't have it, this one will suffice, but I'd rather have the round bit if I have it handy. That's the square bit. There it is. This will give a better texture than the pear shape. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of take it across just like this, create a nice pattern right in that groove. Got to turn down the lathe for this though. You don't want to do it really fast. So it's going to be up here. Got to angle it a little bit to get it spinning. There we go. We're just going to go right across this way to the other side. Take it back across again to get a deeper texture. And we're just going to stop and have a look. Yeah, we got a nice texture there. Looks pretty good. It's hard to see it on the camera, but once I put oil on it, it'll darken it up some. I'm going to go across it a couple more times. Once the grooves are there, this bit will find those grooves and just find its way in the same grooves. So I just want to make them a little bit deeper. The longer you do this, the deeper the texture goes. Depending on the wood, sometimes it takes longer. Softer wood, it goes really quick. But sometimes with softer wood, these things just tear up the wood instead of even a nice pattern. Okay, yeah, we got a nice texture there. Good. So I'm going to put this away. I'm going to grab me a Scotch-Brite pad. And this is to get rid of any fuzzies that are left behind by the elf tool. And you'll see them come off, but you don't want to do a lot of this because these do have grit on them. So the white Scotch-Brites, that's the highest grit or the finer grit. This is the second, and then the green ones are the coarser grit. I can see a little fuzzy still popping off of there. So we're gonna have a look. There we go. Cleaned it up pretty nice. If that doesn't get it, just get some like 400 or 600 sandpaper and just lightly touch it. There's a little bit right there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Let's go over it real quick one more time just to see if I can get that off. Might have to do it by hand. Looks like I got it. Not quite. You just rub it out by hand. All right, so let's create those two grooves. We've got the point tool here. Turn up the lathe. Move the tool rest in quite a bit. And we are on center, so we're good to go. Are we on center? Yeah. And we're just going to kind of slowly ease this in. Open that up. Same on this side. Ease it in. Oh, I just kind of messed that up. Let's see how bad I did it. Oh, yeah. Big old gouge right there.
Break out the elf tool again.
Well, I need to use the spindle gouge real quick, and then there'll be the elf tool again. Clean this up. It's a little deep, so I need to use this. Kind of get rid of that. I don't have to take away all the texture, but I just want to get rid of those grooves. Might look nicer with a deeper cove anyway. Another design opportunity which everybody in this club knows about. If you don't know what a design opportunity is when you're a wood turner, then you're kind of lost. All right, let's do this again. I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing the elf tool again, but we'll get a nice texture in there. Got to get it on an angle to get it to spin. Hold it there for a moment, and then slowly ease it across that groove. That's what I like about elf tools. You can do these, create textures and coves, which is really ingenious. Pretty cool stuff. Let's see what we came up with this time. It's not bad. Need to come back in with that point tool and just touch it right in there, though. Because the wood did tear out just a little bit. Where did I set my point tool? Just had the darn thing. I'm going to use something a little easier. I'm just going to use my little beading tool here, and I'm just going to kind of set it in there, kind of clean that up. I'm not spending a whole bunch of time looking for that point tool. This side too. Less chance of this popping out and skating across. All right, so back to the Scotch Brite real quick, and then we're gonna burn it and oil it, and then it would be ready to put together. I took all night to do this, didn't I? Or most of the night.
Oh, it's all good. Gallery was thin, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it was either that or we're going to have a short meeting.
Well, I've just filled it up, didn't I? All right,
Yeah.
wire. I've got these little sets that have the little bobbles on the end. This is the small wire. They'll fit right down in these grooves. They have thicker wire. But this helps set off this area right here. You need to turn it up the lathe a little bit. And once you see some smoke, you want to stop. Just like that. Just like that. And that really set that off. So let me get a little bit of oil on a paper towel, and I'll just maybe I'll use a paintbrush instead. That might be better choice. Sometimes when you try to wipe oil into a texture, the paper towel starts coming apart, and you end up with all these white fuzzies. And it's not fun when you have to dig all those out of the texturing. All right, paintbrush. A whole handful of them here. This one will work. So we're just going to use this, and we're just going to fill in this area here. And the oil's not going to affect the wax at all. It'll just actually sit on top of it, and you can just wipe it off. It really won't soak into the wood all that much. As you can see, that really helped darken up the texturing when you do that. That away. Grab a paper towel and just dab it. You don't want to rub it, because the same thing's going to happen if you do. It's going to leave the paper towel start coming apart. Most of this will soak in overnight anyway, so you might even have to add an extra coat depending on how it looks in the morning. Just gotta be careful. Dab, 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 dab. All right, so let's part this off, and I'll show you what it looks like all put together. It won't be glued together yet, but I'll try to hold it as much as I can there. So you remember there's a hole here, so I want to slow the lathe down because I don't want this flying across the room in case it comes off that hole real quick. If I find that hole too fast. So I'm just going to find a nice spot right about here. Looks good. All this is flat. And I don't really want flat on my ornament, so I'm just going to start back in here to start opening up that parting. I need to drop my tool rest a little bit. I'm working downhill with the parting tool. It makes it hard to work. Just gonna gently hold this thing. Yeah, it's being choppy. Wow. I'll turn it up just a little higher. My wife might be a little dull, maybe. Come on. Should be getting to it any second here. Sounds like it. There it is. And now we just need to clean that off. I'm just going to use a sanding disc real quick in my other jaws.
Well, I'm not supposed to come in here when you're in here? Huh? I'm not supposed to fulfill my need? Huh?
Uh-oh.
Sick?
There it is.
I come here and get my medicine because you're in here?
Oh, somebody's talking.
Yeah, they had to unmute themselves.
Let's take this little piece of ebony. I never throw the ebony away. I always find a use for it, whether it's a little insert or something. So this goes in the ebony box. So grab my little sander here and pop this in. Yeah, it didn't come off all that clean, unfortunately, so I gotta flat sand it. You gotta make sure you hold it flat, otherwise the finial's not gonna fit right. So I'm just gonna take down all this little bit of rubbish down to where that flat area is. Turn down the lathe, sanding speed. I'm just gonna have a look. Make sure it's nice and flat. Don't want to take a whole lot off. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Where did the cup with my finial go? It was right there. Where did I put the finial? That is so weird. Here's the top.
I think the elf on the shelf is running around in the waking hours there on you.
Yeah. Something like this. Oh, I got the finials backwards. Oh, man. I am going to have to work on that other finial. I'll have to put it back in here. I got them backwards. Or I have to drill the bottom hole. I got it too small. Too small. But let's see if I can get this. Let me zoom out. Oh, I always do it the wrong way. All right, so this hole needs to be a little bit bigger. I got the measurements opposite of each other. But once I get that taken down, it'll be fine. I'll just put that in pin jaws and kind of take that down to the right size. But that's what it's going to look like when it's all done.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
What do you use for your eyelet?
Very nice.
Huh?
What do you use
Well, I
for
do-
the eyelet?
Oh, it's just, I get them at the jewelry section in Hobby Lobby. They've got like bright silver, dull silver,
Okay.
weathered brass, and bright gold, and non-shiny gold. So that's where I like to find them. Also, you can put it in upside down. If you wanted to do it this way, but you'd have to take that down more. I like it the other way, so I'll work on that. I'll show it to you guys
I like it
in
upside down.
January. Huh? How will I turn this part down?
Yeah, I said I like it upside down.
Oh, you like it upside down. Well, then I have to put it between centers and take this part of and round this over. I can just sand that round too.
But it's not my ornament, so you know.
Oh yeah,
I agree with Billy. And yeah, throw it between centers and go ahead and take that.
that's
your
this
little
area
taper
back down. Yeah.
It's only another 1/8 of an inch. So
Yep, and as you can see, because I did those undercuts, there's no gaps between the ornament and the finials. Yeah, I can take that down. I just put it between centers.
yeah,
Just ease that down to the right size. No problem. All right. Well, that's my demo.
Nice
Oh,
job, Scott.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Very
Scott.
nice.
Excellent
Well, you-
job,
Well,
Scott.
Great
does
demo,
anybody
Scott.
have any questions
work.
for Scott?
Thank you. Yeah, got any questions? Everybody is so quiet. It's either do I talk too much or is it because I put everybody to sleep?
No, it's because we're listening to you.
It was very enjoyable.
Ah,
It was very
I've,
good, Scott.
I've been accused. I've been accused of talking too much during my demos. So
Never.
Nice job.
No, nice job. You give a good explanation of what you're doing.
thank you, Scott. Thank you
All
very
right, good
much.
job,
Appreciate
Scott.
it.
I really appreciate it.